Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Nevis. We are in the Just Flight Piper Warrior today. Foxtrot Golf Echo Delta Oscar. And one might reasonably ask, why on earth would I use that livery and that registration? And the reason is because I think the livery's cool. I mean, it looks like a traditional, nice Cherokee livery, and I really like it. It also, kind of being in the French Caribbean, I like using something that's quote unquote local. So, anyway, let's go rotating beacon on. Mixture rich. Carb heat is cold. Master and battery switches on. Fuel pump on. The pitot heat is wigging out for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. So, fuel pump on. Throttle open 1/4 inch. I like starting the airplane on the right tank. Don't ask me why. Move this over to both. Let's see if there's anybody outside to kill or maim. There is not. Hand on the throttle, hit the starter. Alright, 1200 it is. Oil pressure looking good. Fuel pump off. Fuel pressure looking good. Avionics master, that's the word I'm looking for. Avionics master on. Nav and strobe lights on. We're going to be lazy and hit the B key so that we can get our altimeter setting. Eventually I'll stop being lazy and find a way to do that properly. So I flew this flight earlier today and I was kind of looking at it going, gee, this doesn't look as good as it used to. And the reason why it didn't look as good as it used to is because Microsoft Flight Simulator turned all my settings down, and I didn't realize it until after the end of the flight. Let's lean the mixture for taxi. There is no taxi light, but I flipped that switch on anyway. Okay, map is on. This is a pretty cool little freeware airport. The terminal isn't like, you know, probably not really appropriate for the location, but the rest of the airport's really cool. I like it a lot. It's a great little airport, great little island. Let's release the parking brake. We've already done that. Ease off the brakes. Tap the brakes to make sure they're working. Nevis traffic. Warrior Foxtrot Delta Oscar taxiing to runway 10. We will be back taxiing full length for the departure, Nevis. And it's hard to describe how much better the ultra settings are than high end. And I'm only running GTX 1080. This is DX12, by the way. I'm only running a GTX 1080, and most of my settings are ultra. I care quite a bit about things like terrain vectoring and buildings and trees and such, because I fly mostly, you know, low altitude. If I was flying jets, I wouldn't really care what the buildings looked like or whether the mountains were rounded off the top. But considering I fly mostly GA airplanes under, you know, 5,000 feet, I do care. And so I kind of prioritize the things that are most important to me. I forgot to turn my landing light on. You always want your landing light on when you're on a runway, because you want to be as visible as possible. Let's make sure we don't have any ATC that we're not paying attention to. I want to turn the panel lights on just because with the sun the way it is, it might be helpful at some point. All right, let's go. Fuel pump on. Mixture rich. Carpet is cold. Seatbelts are secure. I do not see any traffic. Nevis traffic. Warrior Foxtrot Delta Oscar taking off runway 10. Be a left crosswind departure to the north. Nevis. Way too much talking there. All right, heading indicator checks with the runway number. Takeoff power is coming in. Takeoff power is set. You want 2350 as your RPM at least. Oil pressure is looking just fine. And airplane just eases right off the ground. And it's amazing how much better this looks in Ultra than it does in high end. Gosh, what a gorgeous takeoff, huh? Alright, 400 feet AGL quite easily, so let's begin our turnout here to the left. Don't see any traffic. 1,000 feet AGL, turn your fuel pump off, check your fuel pressure. Fuel pressure is fine. And so I was saying before, I'm only flying a GTX 1080 and an 8700K, which is overclocked, although not like hugely overclocked. And I mean, I don't know. I get what I consider pretty awesome performance. I mean, I'm really quite satisfied. I'll see. I mean, I've got myself locked at 30 frames per second, and some people will say, "Oh, that's not enough. It's plenty. It's fine." That is one argument that I will never understand. 2,300 climbing 3,000. 30 frames per second is perfectly fine. One of the things I really like about Microsoft Flight Simulator, and there's a couple things I have to do to get myself going, but one of the things I really like about Microsoft Flight Simulator is you used to spend so much time fotzing around with the stupid simulator, almost more time than you spent flying it. Alright, I'm gonna turn the pitot heat on because we are coming into some clouds here. Let's level off, make a power reduction large enough that you can hear the difference. And then we will trim the airplane now. And I will not be fooled into thinking that this airplane is going to descend, because it's not. See? It is going to keep climbing. Not that getting a frozen pitot tube right now would be the end of the world, because we're VFR. But nonetheless, I prefer to have all of my instruments and all of my cockpit equipment and everything working properly, so therefore I will turn my pitot heat on. Anytime you get into visible moisture, which is clouds, fog, mist, anything like that, you could potentially get pitot tube icing, and it's just, like I said, just not something I'm interested in getting. So, temperature here is, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not gonna freeze, so turn the pitot heat off. Check the power. I can give it a little bit of a goose here. We might get carb icing though. That's possible. I don't know what's going on with the pitot heat. I really don't. It has a mind of its own. It's possessed. Alright, so look, just stop, okay? Just stop, leave me alone. We're overflying the airport here. Bradshaw traffic, Warrior Foxtrot Delta Oscar. We are flying over the field south to north at 3,000 feet. Bradshaw. I don't anticipate. I mean, I don't see any traffic. I don't think it will be a problem even if there was traffic. But I just want to make your presence known. I'm actually hugging a little bit closer to the shoreline here, so I can stay closer to the departure end of the runway. 3,000 feet right here. If there's somebody taking off, they're going to go underneath me. If I'm a half mile that way and it's a jet, I might become a hood ornament, and I don't want to do that. Gosh, it is gorgeous. So I don't even think I need to say anything. I mean, that is just spectacular. Just gorgeous. So this is the new driver, the new game ready driver came out today. What's funny is I'm getting much better performance right now with most of my settings on Ultra than I did earlier today. With most of my settings, or all of my settings, at high end. I've had this weird feeling for a while now that people with the fancy cards, like the RTX 3080, 3090, whatever, for whatever reason it seems like they're not getting the performance they would expect or hope for out of those cards. I don't quite know why. Maybe it's because they are trying for every single additional frame they can possibly get. Look at that view up there too, by the way. That's Statia and Saba up there. Just gorgeous. There's St. Martin off in the distance. You want to tell me this isn't beautiful? Jeez. It's just, it's stunning. And for whatever reason, I don't think those people are getting the performance out of those cards that they would expect or hope for, and I've had that feeling for quite a while. Fuel pump on, switch fuel tanks, fuel pump off. I like to fidget in my chair. You probably noticed that. ever watched any of my videos. My head's always moving around. I wish my pitot heat would stop doing that because it's annoying. Whereas me with my dinky, because really, I was about to say that I would expect to have more difficulty low and slow, so to speak, with frame rates and such, but it is, I am in the islands, and I'm really only, not a lot of cities, obviously, so that's probably the difference. Might not do as well if I were looking at flying around New York or LA or something like that. But anyway, let's announce our position. We are 10 miles-ish from our destination. Statia traffic, Warrior Foxtrot Delta Oscar is 10 miles to the south, inbound runway 6, Statia. So there is no big mystery about there is a big mystery about flying at the proper altitude, but there's no big mystery about radio communications. If any of you guys are interested in bat sim and a little bit intimidated by it, I completely understand. Even real world pilots who don't use ATC often don't like talking on the radio. It's there are plenty of, like I said, certificated pilots in the real world who just do not like talking to ATC. It's perfectly normal. It's something you're not experienced with. The easy way to do it is simply who you are, where you are, and what you want to do. You can tell people those three things. Seven miles is a good time to start doing a slow descent if you're coming VFR into a field. Who you are, where you are, and what you want to do, or what you plan to do. If you're talking to a tower or to, in-route controllers, it's what you want to do. If you're talking on Unicom or CTAF, you tell them what you're going to do. As controllers, you ask permission. Or CTAF, you just tell them what's up, what you're doing. So right there, my broadcast was, you always want to, if you're flying in light GA, like a Cherokee or 172 or something like that, you make your first radio call 10 nautical miles from your destination. So who you are, I am Warrior Foxtrot Delta Oscar. Where you are, 10 miles south of the field. And what I'm going to do inbound runway 6. And what's the difference between Unicom and CTAF? CTAF is Common Traffic Advisory Frequency. It's a radio frequency that would be used by multiple airports, multiple uncontrolled airports would use the CTAF. That's why you always want to announce which airport you're going to, because there'll be other airports on that frequency. But the difference between CTAF and Unicom, with a CTAF, Or with a Unicom, you're making a broadcast with the expectation of getting an answer from somebody. With a Unicom, you are making a broadcast without the expectation of getting an answer from somebody. And yes, I am full of useless information. Let's see here. Should be on base. Statia traffic, Warrior, Foxtrot, Delta, Oscar. Entering a 3-mile right base for runway 06. This will be a full stop station. Alright, so now I want to slow down enough that I can get myself into the flap operating range, which is the white arc on your airspeed indicator. Put in that first notch of flaps. And I'm going to let the airplane come down because I'm a little bit high at this point. I'm also going to make a bit of a right turn here because I am not on a base. That's the Rodney Bay oil terminal right there. I don't see any traffic. Let's go fuel pump on. Mixture rich, seatbelts are secure. That is always your pre-landing checklist in a Cherokee. Fuel pump on, mixture rich, seatbelts are secure. Second notch of flaps coming in. It's going to be a very nice base leg here. What a day. Then again, what was the last bad day you had in the Caribbean? Well, they're having some bad days in the Caribbean now. And Statia traffic, Warrior, Foxtrot, Delta, Oscar, turning a 3-mile final runway 6, Statia. They are having some bad days in the Caribbean right now. And our prayers go out to everybody who are dealing with the hurricanes. It's a quiet hurricane season to start, but it's not a quiet hurricane season right now. So, alright, we got 4 whites in the Pappy. Definitely a bit of a right crosswind. Little bit high, but I don't anticipate that being a problem. I think this airplane is gonna have some downward tendencies here as we get. I don't like that nose coming down and the speed picking up. Third notch of flaps. And definitely a right crosswind. Keep an eye out for downdrafts right here because yeah, see that? I don't want to be sinking 1,200 feet a minute on short final here. Statia traffic, Cherokee, Foxtrot, Delta, Oscar, short final, 06, Statia. I'm feeling a bit more comfortable now. Still don't want to get too slow. I don't like these kind of approaches when you come in and you got 4 reds and you're dragging it right over the numbers. See a lot of guys do that and I don't really like that kind of thing. Not a bad crosswind landing. A horrible... You want to know what I did right there? See, one of the things that you'll learn from following my channel is what not to do. And that right there was a classic thing that pilots do wrong. Let me lean the mixture here a little bit. Statia traffic, Warrior Foxtrot Delta Oscar, back taxiing runway 6, Statia. Always taxi on center line, you want to be visible. So what I did right there, and this is classic, I mean, that is just a beautiful example of what not to do right there by yours truly. Oh, that was terrible. Okay, so what I did right there was came in, good approach. I mean, I was pretty happy right up until, you know, short final, when I was a little bit bothered by the fact that I was slow, and I mean not slow per se, but like I was definitely below glide slope. And let's clean up the airplane. Flaps up, fuel pump off. You don't want to do any of that stuff on the runway. You want to wait till you get off the runway. And so I got you know, approach was fine. It was okay. It wasn't bad. Certainly wasn't unsafe. Just not exactly what I wanted, because what I really like is a nice on glide path, on speed, on altitude approach. That one wasn't bad. Pretty good crosswind. I'm not sure what the winds are here because I didn't check the weather, which is also something you shouldn't excuse. Come down, make a nice crosswind correction, really nice crosswind correction. Not perfect, but pretty darn good. And then what did I do? As soon as the wheels touched the ground, what did I do? I let the crosswind correction out. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how not to do it. Apply the brakes, mixture idle, cut off, throttles at idle. Let's engage the parking brake. I wish I had oh boy, do I wish I had the record feature on right now. I'd record that and show you guys how useless that was. Let's turn the lights off. Avionics Master always goes off before the magnetos get turned off. Turn the mags off. Master and battery switches off. The saying is you have to fly, and it's less true of planes like this, like the Cherokee. If I was in a tail dragger right there, if I was in a, look at this gorgeous freeway airport. If I was in a Cub right there, I would be walking back to this parking space, muttering to myself while my airplane is strewn about the runway, because I would have flipped. I would have probably hit the, probably would have dipped and hit a wing, and that would have been the end of it. I wouldn't have gotten hurt in all likelihood, but I would have definitely ruined my airplane. Lesson is always keep your crosswind correction in at all times. Don't let it go once you touch down, because you're going to get exactly what I just got, which is a reasonably good landing, and then as soon as you touch down and you let that crosswind correction out, your airplane's just going to go haywire. You may, if you're on a 50-foot wide runway, 35-foot wide runway, you can easily lose. They call them loss of control accidents. You'll lose control, which I pretty much did, and wind up in the dirt. You know. Fortunately, this runway was wide enough to contain my poor airmanship. But a lot of airplane accidents happen just like that. So, if nothing else, take this away. Don't do what I just did. Be better than me. DX12, the new new Nvidia driver 517.48, I believe it is, or 47. Spectacular. Not one stutter in that flight. And in the original beta for Sim Update 10 with DX12, there were no stutters, none. And that's what I just experienced here today. So this looks awesome. I hope you guys are better pilots for watching me be a bad pilot. And I hope you guys are doing well. And talk next time.